Welcome to Controversial Crimes. Before we begin, a serious content warning. This video examines the investigation into Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt. Because this case involves detailed accounts of child abuse, psychological manipulation, and extreme physical harm, viewer discretion is heavily advised. My goal is to analyse the evidence with respect for the victims, but please be aware the material is deeply distressing. For years, Ruby Franke was the matriarch of a massive online following. Her YouTube channel, 8 Passengers, showcased an idyllic life of faith, family, and fun to millions of subscribers. It was a portrait of domestic bliss that many envied. But behind the carefully curated vlog posts, a sinister reality was festering. Long before the final sickening revelations, cracks in this perfect facade had already begun to show, sparking widespread outrage among viewers. The controversy stemmed from Ruby's own vlogs, where she proudly detailed severe parenting methods that many deemed cruel. Viewers were horrified by admissions that she had taken away her teenage son's bedroom for 7 months as punishment for a prank, forcing him to sleep on a beanbag. In another instance, she refused to bring a forgotten lunch to her hungry 6-year-old daughter at school to teach a harsh lesson about responsibility. The public backlash was swift. Concerned viewers launched online petitions demanding investigations and flooded Utah Child Protective Services with calls, desperate for authorities to intervene years before the abuse escalated to physical torture. A reality born from a twisted partnership with a woman named Jodi Hildebrandt, a so-called therapist with unconventional methods. This is the story of how a Momfluencer's obsession with perfection and a counselor's dark delusions led to a horrific tale of abuse that shocked the world. Ruby Franke rose to internet fame by documenting the daily lives of her 6 children and her husband Kevin. The 8 Passengers channel was a massive success, amassing nearly 2.5 million followers who tuned in for a glimpse of their seemingly perfect Mormon family life. Ruby's ambition was to be seen as the ultimate mother, a role she cultivated intently for her online audience. Enter Jodi Hildebrandt, a licensed clinical mental health counsellor whose methods had already drawn scrutiny. Her license had been put on probation in 2012 for revealing confidential patient information. Despite this, she reinvented herself as a life coach through her business, ConneXions Classroom. Hildebrandt's teachings, often described as extreme, attracted many, including Ruby Franke, who originally sought her out to counsel one of her sons. What started as a counsellor-client relationship morphed into a toxic business partnership and a deeply disturbing personal bond. Ruby became not just a follower but a mentor within Hildebrandt's program, and the two began producing content together. Their shared ideology, rooted in religious extremism, would become the justification for unspeakable acts. They believed the abuse they inflicted was necessary to cast out evil spirits and teach the children how to repent for imagined sins. The full extent of the horror would only be revealed later through harrowing court documents and Ruby's meticulous daily journaling of events. Inside Jodi Hildebrandt's Ivins, Utah home, a nightmare was unfolding for Ruby Franke's 2 youngest children. The abuse, which escalated from May to August of 2023, was characterized by prosecutors as a concentration camp-like setting. Plea agreements for both women detailed a campaign of physical torture and severe emotional harm. Franke's then 12-year-old son was forced to perform arduous physical tasks for hours or even days at a time. like carrying heavy boxes and working outside in the blistering summer heat without shoes. He was denied adequate food and water, and when he was caught sneaking water, he was punished. The abuse was so severe that he suffered repeated, serious sunburns with blistered and sloughing skin. The cruelty didn't end there. After an escape attempt in July 2023, the boy was regularly bound hand and foot with 2 sets of handcuffs, sometimes tied together with rope. These bindings cut into his skin, creating wounds that were then treated with homeopathic remedies like cayenne pepper and honey before being covered with duct tape. Franke's 9-year-old daughter was subjected to similar horrors. She was isolated, denied food and water, and forced to work outside without shoes, running on dirt roads until her feet were injured. In one particularly sadistic act, the plea agreement states she was either physically forced or coerced to jump into a cactus multiple times. Both children were constantly told they were evil, possessed, and that this torture was an act of love necessary for their repentance. On the morning of August 30, 2023, a moment of desperate bravery brought the house of horrors crumbling down. Franke's 12-year-old son, emaciated and desperate, managed to escape through a sliding door at Hildebrandt's house. He ran to a neighbour's home, pleading for food and water. The neighbour was horrified by what he saw.
Answer the door right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now.
Yes.
Hi, I was just wondering if you could do 2 favors.
Well, what are they?
Taking me to the nearest police station. Well, actually, just one's fine.
What's going on, son? Have a seat there.
It's personal business.
Have a seat. What's your name? How'd you get here?
I
222-1512. I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. And he's said he just came from a neighbor's house and he's emaciated, he's got tape around his legs, he's hungry and he's thirsty.
need someone immediately.
But he has duct tape around
And big
his ankle.
injuries, there's sores around them.
Yeah, there's sores around him. I think there's a good chance he's been...
He also has
and he has it around his
wrist
ankle.
as well.
I mean, his wrist as well. Okay, this boy has been...
Needs immediate attention. Oh, he was such a good kid.
This kid is obviously been... I think he's hungry and he's been young, but he's had up with various stocking feet. So he escaped.
We need the police here now.
They're on the way.
You don't have any allergies in that? Okay.
I hear a car, but they're not coming on the driveway.
The following footage captures the tense moments after Ruby Franke's 12-year-old son escaped to a neighbour's home, leading police directly to the door of Jodi Hildebrandt's Ivins residence. Upon their arrival, you'll see a highly defensive Hildebrandt immediately challenge the officer's authority, physically resisting her removal from the home and questioning the legality of a search without a warrant. As the situation escalates, she retreats to a courtyard, where she continued to talk to her attorney, Douglas Terry. Pay close attention to the audio during this exchange. In a moment of critical oversight, her attorney, unaware he has been placed on speakerphone right in front of a recording police officer, makes a revealing comment that potentially shifts the entire narrative of her defense.
When did you step out?
I have my attorney.
That's great. Step out of the house.
No, I'm not going to step out of the
Step
house.
out of the house.
Step out of the house.
Whoa.
We're just going to see if
Whoa.
anybody else home.
Wait a minute, how do you come to my house?
Right there.
Look, they come into my house.
Just have a seat right there.
Do you have a search warrant?
Have a seat right there.
Do you have a search warrant?
Have a seat right there. I'll explain everything after. Have a seat right there.
Do you have a search warrant, sir?
Control 12x11. Can you hold the air? We're searching the house.
I can tell you what's in the house.
Okay. Just have a seat right there for me.
Do you have a search warrant?
We'll explain it after this.
You can't just come into my house without a search warrant.
We'll explain everything after this, ma'am. Okay. Well, that's one of the reasons why we're here. So we'll explain after everything's done, after we clear the house and make sure everything's fine in there.
But why are you coming into my house without a
We'll
search warrant?
explain it after this.
But that doesn't make sense. You come into my house and do what you want, and then you tell me you don't have a
No,
warrant?
we'll explain why we did.
But don't you have to have a warrant?
Not at this moment, we don't. We're here on exigent circumstances, and I'll explain it after this, after my sergeant and the officer are done clearing the house. Is there anybody else in the house?
Yes.
2 kids?
There's a little girl.
Just one?
She's right over here.
Okay. How old is she?
She'll be 10 next week.
Okay. And she's on this side?
She's over here.
Can you get through the house that way?
Yes, they just have to go right there.
There's no other kids besides her?
No.
What's her name?
Oh, hey, Eve, is that you? Hi.
Well, so they're in your home because he lied to them about.
Yeah, I've got a police officer standing right here.
When conducting the search, they found Frankie's 9-year-old daughter, petrified and hiding in a closet. She, too, was malnourished. Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt were arrested on the spot and later charged with 6 counts each of felony aggravated child abuse. 4 of Frankie's children were taken into protective custody. In December 2023, both women entered into plea agreements. Ruby Franke pleaded guilty to 4 counts of aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony. As part of her deal, she agreed to testify against Hildebrandt, though that would ultimately not be necessary. Just days later, Jodi Hildebrandt also pleaded guilty to 4 counts of aggravated child abuse. Her plea agreement was nearly identical to Franke's, admitting that she either tortured the children herself or was fully aware of the abuse occurring in the home and did nothing to stop it. These documents, once public, provided the world with the gruesome details of the abuse we described earlier. The fallout was immense. Ruby's estranged husband, Kevin Franke, who had been separated from her for over a year, stated through his attorney that he was unaware of the abuse. He later filed for restitution from Hildebrandt to help pay for his children's recovery and sued her for negligence and intentional emotional harm. Ruby's own parents issued a statement saying their daughter had been delusional and had accused them of things that never happened. On February 20, 2024, the 2 women faced their reckoning. The courtroom was charged with emotion as the prosecutor described the abuse as a concentration camp-like setting and called Hildebrandt a significant threat. A tearful Ruby Franke addressed the court, apologising to her children. "I'll never stop crying for hurting your tender souls," she said. She claimed she had been manipulated by Hildebrandt and led into a dark delusion, believing the world was an evil place and that her children needed to be saved through these horrific methods. She admitted that she and Hildebrandt had inflicted the injuries. Jodi Hildebrandt's statement was shorter and less emotional. Here are her own words.
I sincerely love these children. I desire for them to heal physically and emotionally. One of the reasons I did not go to trial is that I did not want them to emotionally relive the experience which would have been detrimental to them. My hope and prayer is that they will heal and move forward to have beautiful lives. I am willing to submit to what the state feels would be an appropriate amount of time served to make retribution as an outcome.
The judge handed down the maximum penalty allowed under Utah law for the charges. Both Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt were sentenced to serve 4 consecutive prison terms of 1 to 15 years each. While the theoretical maximum is 60 years, Utah law caps the time served for consecutive sentences at 30 years. Their exact time in prison will be determined by the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole. While Ruby Franke appeared to accept her fate with a tearful apology, Jodi Hildebrandt took a different path. Almost immediately after the 2024 sentencing, Hildebrandt's legal team filed a notice of appeal, challenging the consecutive nature of her prison terms. The appeal argued that the judge had committed an abuse of discretion by ordering the 4 1 to 15 year sentences to be served consecutively rather than concurrently. Hildebrandt's defense claimed the punishment was excessive, despite her admitting to torture of the Franke children in her own plea agreement. However, in late 2024 and heading into 2025, the Utah Court of Appeals stood firm. They cited the extreme nature of the concentration camp-like conditions and the calculated manipulation Hildebrandt used. The ruling was clear. The gravity of the crimes justified every day of the maximum sentence. For now, the guru remains exactly where the state says she belongs, behind bars. The legal case may have reached its end, but the quest for the truth was only beginning. In early 2025, Shari Franke, the eldest daughter who had first raised the alarm, released her best-selling memoir, The House of My Mother. In its pages, Shari shattered the 8 passengers myth entirely, detailing how the abuse didn't start with Jodi Hildebrandt. It was a systematic rot fueled by a mother who eventually saw her children as employees and content gold rather than human beings. But the Franke children didn't just tell their stories. They changed the law. Spurred by their testimony, Utah passed landmark legislation in March 2025 to protect child influencers. The law now requires momfluencers making significant revenue to set aside at least 15% of earnings into a trust for their children. Perhaps most significantly, it gives these children the right to request that every video featuring them as minors be permanently scrubbed from the internet once they turn 18. Shari has since stepped away from the public eye, stating that true freedom for her meant the end of sharing her private life with strangers. This case has become the catalyst for the anti-family vlogging movement, forcing a global conversation about the ethics of monetizing childhood. It is a legacy of pain, yes, but it is also one of immense courage. The Franke children are no longer 8 passengers in someone else's twisted narrative. They are finally the pilots of their own lives. The case of Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt is a chilling reminder of how quickly a public facade of perfection can crumble to reveal a grotesque reality. It's a story of manipulation, religious extremism, and the horrific betrayal of a mother's sacred duty to protect her children. While the legal chapter is closed, the healing for the victims is only just beginning. The 8 passengers channel is gone, but the scars left behind by Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt will take a lifetime to heal. This case serves as a haunting reminder that perfection on social media is often a mask, and that the most dangerous ideologies can sometimes hide behind the guise of truth and parenting. While Ruby and Jodi remain behind bars, the real story here isn't the downfall of a YouTube empire. It's the resilience of Shari and her siblings. They've turned their private pain into public protection, ensuring that no other child has to be a passenger in a home of horrors. If you or someone you know is struggling or in a situation involving domestic and child abuse, please don't stay silent. Thank you for joining me for this deep dive. If you found this analysis insightful, please hit the like button and subscribe to our community. Your support allows us to keep producing these long-form investigative dives. What part of this case shocked you the most? Is the new Franke Law enough to protect the next generation of child influencers? Let's continue the conversation in the comments below.